This lesson is about the percent proportion. So what I get you to try and think about is the tires on a monster truck. The tires are each weighing 2 tons and the entire truck weighs about 6 tons. So whenever we write a fraction, we're saying 1 tire, which is 2 tons. The tires on the monster truck, which is 2 tons, compared to the entire truck, which is about 6 tons. So the tires are about 1/3 of the total weight of the monster truck. So when we think about fractions, we're always doing part of it over the whole. So it's going to be the same thing when we talk about a percent proportion. We're going to compare the part of something to the whole, and in order to turn that into a percent, we're going to do percent over 100, because percents are always comparing numbers to the whole of 100%. Another way that we see this a lot of times is written that something is part of a whole. So for examples, the tires is part of the whole weight of the truck. So the tires are the part, the of is the whole entire truck then. It goes along with the part over whole. So really what we do is look at the problem and figure out what pieces we have. So in this first one, what percent of $15 is $9? So what percent of 15 is 9? So if you set up your proportion, the 100 will always go down in the bottom right-hand corner. It says what percent, which tells me we're going to have a variable in the percent spot because that's what I'm solving for. Of 15, $15 is my of number, which is the whole, so it goes down in the bottom, is 9. So 9 is part of 15 as a whole. From here, you just solve this as a proportion. Use your heart method, and you get 900 equals 15x. Divide by 15, and you get 60 equals x. Now just be careful because it did say what percent, so your final answer would say 60% then for this one. Take a look at example 2. What number is 40% of 120? So set up your proportion, 100. If you have a percent, I have a tendency to just put that in first because that takes care of it. Of 120, of goes on the bottom. What number is? My is spot is going to be filled in with the variable. Heart method here, 100x equals 4,800. Divide by 100. X equals 48. And we can actually check this. We can type into our calculator as a fraction, 48 over 120. And we get that. So we can change it over to a decimal, and we actually end up with 0.4. But as a decimal, move the decimal point over, that's 40%. So it actually is correct then. The last one, 18 is 25% of what number? So 18 is 25% of what number? So 25% goes above the 100. Of what number tells me there's an x. 18 is. So that's my is number. Heart method here, you get 1,800 equals 25x. And you're going to have to divide by 25 on both sides. And you get that x is going to equal 72. So your of number here is actually going to be 72. Take a second, go ahead and reflect which one is the part, which one's the whole, and which one's the percent. And that's what you should have filled in here. There's a couple application problems on the next page for you. It says in example 4, the average gorilla eats about 33.5 pounds of fruit a day. So if you look, fruit is a part of the diet. So the fruit is 67% of the diet. So I'm going to write that down. Fruit is 67% of his diet. So how many total pounds of food does the gorilla eat each day? So the of his diet is what we're trying to figure out. That's his total amount eaten each day. The fruit is 67%, and the fruit itself is actually 33.5 pounds. So your is number is 33.5, there's your percent number, and there's your of. So 33.5 of x is 67%. So we get 3350 equals 67x. Divide by 67. And I end up with x equals 50. Now, think about it just real quick. Does it logically make sense? This is a big portion. This is a big percent of his diet. 33.5 is a large portion of his diet. So would it make sense that is our answer reasonable that we got 50? So it does make sense that that's larger than what the fruit is, which is good. So we would say for a final answer, 50 total pounds of food each day. Next example, brand A cereal contains 10 cups of cereal. So this is 10. And it says how many more cups of cereal are in brand B. So we're trying to figure out what is 30% of 10, because we're actually getting an extra 30% more compared to that other box. So what is 30% of 10? That should be an equal sign in between. Hello? 30 of 10, what is? So 100x equals 300. Divide by 100. And we get x equals 3 extra cups is what's going to be in brand B. So it'll actually have a total of 13 cups in it then. Last example, Mrs. Jacoby purchased a shirt that was on sale for 30% off. If the original price was $40, how much did she get off? So we're actually trying to figure out what is 30% of the $40 shirt. So what amount is she actually getting off? So what is that 30% that we're actually going to get? So in our percent proportion, we have a 30 over here. What is, tells me there's an x, and then we have of 40, which tells me there's a 40 down there. So we get 100x equals 1,200. Divide by 100. We get x equals 12. So essentially what that means is she's going to get $12 off the shirt.